Six Flags have been one of the top operating groups for theme parks and attractions across the globe, and since the merger with Cedar Fair, they've just grown in population as well as size. But the big thing in this industry is simple: what is the future? What are the next steps that each of these parks are going to take in terms of new entertainment, new spectaculars, and brand new rides, attractions, and roller coasters? Well, over the past week, Six Flags has been launching surveys for at least 13 of their theme parks, and today we're going to be going through them in more detail, looking at potential ride concepts and attraction and experience concepts that the parks have been surveying to their guests to see what they think. I'm going to go through what each of these potential investments mean for the park's future. Before we get started, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, and hit notification bell so you never miss another video. And for now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight into this video. I'm going to get started with the first park in alphabetical order. So we are kickstarting with Canada's Wonderland, and the guest surveys show some unique concepts, like a new themed log flume ride, a Matt Rides extreme spinning coaster, and a proposed general expansion to their water park. And if these aren't enough, the park also asked their guests' thoughts on adding a hybrid coaster to the lineup, specifically a world record breaking steel wood hybrid coaster. Now, it's very important to note that nothing was said about converting one of their current wooden coasters into a hybrid. However, the image on the survey showed Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. So if it isn't going to be a ground up roller coaster, which of the current wooden coasters at Canada's Wonderland would be up for a hybrid renovation? Well, altogether there are 3 wooden coasters at Canada's Wonderland. Wild Beast has been operating since 1981 and was built by Philadelphia Toboggan Coasters Incorporated and designed by Curtis D. Summers. Another Philadelphia Toboggan Coasters Incorporated roller coaster project was Scooby's Gasping Ghoster Coaster, now known just as Ghoster Coaster, which has also been operating since 1981. And the third one, and the most extreme of the lot, has to be the mighty Canadian Mindbuster, opened in the same year. So if you're asking me which of those 3 is most likely to get RMC'd, it would be between mighty Canadian Mindbuster and Wild Beast. Now, most people are going to predict that Mindbuster is going to get the treatment, but I'm actually going to go with a bit of a left field choice and go with the Wild Beast. I think they can do some really cool stuff with the Wild Beast layout. Now, looking at some of the other concepts in the park for Canada's Wonderland, one of them is a brand new themed log flume ride. Now, of course, the park did have a log flume in the form of Jetstream that was removed after 2010 to make way for the brand new flat ride Windseeker, and that opened back in 2011. So a themed log flume attraction could be perfect for Canada's Wonderland. An expansion to the water park is also a very good idea because it allows guests more new offerings in that side of the experience of the day out or the long-term stay at Canada's Wonderland. But of course, a Mack Extreme Spinning Coaster is a very, very exciting proposition for the park because that type of roller coaster has been getting a lot of attention, especially with the openings of rides such as Time Traveller at Silver Dollar City, and also the Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland in Belgium. So a Mack Extreme Spinning Coaster would be a very exciting addition to Canada's Wonderland if guests seem to like it. Next up is Carowinds, and it seems like they're surveying some potential big new attractions, such as a 172-foot tall spinning Giga Discovery by Zampala and what appears to be an S&S Screaming Swing. Now, the rest of the surveys focused heavily on roller coasters, and this could be a pretty big sign for Carowinds in the Carolina area, because to see a brand new big thrilling signature roller coaster in the park, especially since the opening of rides such as Copperhead Strike back in 2018, I think it'd be a really cool new big addition for Carowinds. The proposals on the survey include a dive coaster similar to the new Tormenta Rampaging Run opening next year at Six Flags Over Texas, a wing coaster similar to Rapterra at King's Dominion, a family thrill launch coaster which could be similar to rides such as Wavebreaker at SeaWorld San Antonio, and a new launch coaster that appears to be more like Alpenfury, which opened this year at Canada's Wonderland. So some big new roller coasters look set to be planned potentially or proposed for Carowinds, and the dive coaster and the wing coaster for me are the more exciting ones because with the success of Rapterra and the hype of Tormenta going into Over Texas next year, I think Carowinds could be onto a massive winner. And the fact they're proposing potential roller coaster concepts as well as the brand new flat rides, I think the future looks very, very bright for Carowinds, especially with their brand new flume ride replacing the Rip Roaring Rapids in the near future as well. Next up is Cedar Point, and they include a surprise proposal, the Vekoma Suspension suspended thrill glider concept, which appears to be the coaster that everyone has been looking forward to at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now, one big thing to mention here is that Cedar Point has been opening a couple of roller coasters back to back with Top Thrill 2 and also Siren's Curse, the most recent one, the tilt coaster with the next gen track sections from Vekoma. So Cedar Point is probably least likely, in my opinion, to get the roller coaster because they've been recently adding new roller coasters to a thrilling scale over consecutive years. However, it isn't out the complete realms of possibility. Other proposed attractions include a multi-launch family roller coaster by Vekoma, a normal family-friendly coaster, and new shows like a nighttime spectacular and a daytime stunt spectacular. And that is one thing that I do like the look of there with those surveying proposals to guests. I like the fact that Cedar Point is looking into the idea of something more of a complete experience route, like the nighttime show spectacular, a daytime stunt show spectacular, you know, something on the lines of, you know, the Motors Action Stunt Show that used to be at Disneyland Paris in the Walt Disney Studios Park, something like that on a similar sort of scale or just under that scale, under the Disney effect, would be fantastic for that park. If you can fit an arena in or find a space to perform the stunt show, I think that that could be something really spectacular and theme it around a Lake Erie spin-off storyline. I think they can put some really good detail into it, and look what the potential of shows are outside of Universal and Disney. Look at what Europa do with their shows and other European parks. You know, I'd like to see more of those type of scale shows at places like Cedar Point. So I think that planning something like that, and if you look back when Six Flags Great America did Ignite the grand finale the year after their Wing Coaster X-Flight opened, something on that scale for Cedar Point as a nighttime show would be another fantastic addition as part of the complete experience package of a day out at Cedar Point for families and thrill seekers alike. So I like the not just thinking about the roller coasters, things like the Thrill Glider, the multi-launch family, the family-friendly kids coaster. I like the fact that they are looking at something as part of a complete package of a day experience at Cedar Point. I like the fact that they're not just thinking about rides, attractions, roller coasters. They're thinking about the whole experience with these surveys. Big heads up from me and a big thumbs up from me with Cedar Point on that one. Next up, Dorney Park, and they've been asking guests about adding attractions like a Zampella Disco Coaster, a Starflyer style of attraction, a relaunch of the vintage car ride with a more story-driven experience, a family raft ride, and a story-driven roller coaster focused on the children's market. Now, of course, the ride that they're talking about in terms of relaunching it with a more story-driven experience is the Road Rally, the classic sports car, you know, attraction. And I think that a proper storyline, a bit like an Autopia style feel, and a bit more of an authentic storyline running through the entire attraction would give that ride a brand new lease of life. I love the fact that Dorney Park aren't looking to get rid of the classics like your road rallies, etc. I love the fact they're looking to reimagine them and relaunch them to the public in a new modern way to give them a bit more of a cinematic style experience almost. So I love the fact Dorney Park are trying to do that. Now, in terms of a children's market story-driven roller coaster, you're probably looking at something like an ART engineering style ride. And I also love the idea of a family raft ride. I think a family-friendly like Conga River Rapids style attraction or a family style version of Mystic River Falls at Silver Dollar City, something like that would work very, very well at Dorney Park. And again, it would provide a different experience for the family market. And I love the fact that the proposals that they're looking at through their surveys are pretty much aimed at the family market overall, or the family thrill market, not just anything to do with the thrill market. Now, King's Dominion is claiming to survey a few water park concepts, including a mat racer, an activity river, and a more adult-focused extension with a swim-up bar, similar to what Carowinds added this summer. Now, in the dry part, they're looking at concepts including a new story-driven dart ride, likely to probably replace the Boo Blasters, although that's not been confirmed via the survey, and a family thrill launch coaster. And I'll tell you this, if the family thrill launch coaster is similar to Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood, and that's what King's Dominion might be looking at adding it into the park, I think this could be a fantastic addition for King's Dominion. I think with the thrill additions they've been adding recently with the likes of Tumbly, the 4D free spin coaster, you've got Raptara, the Bolgroma Beyond Wing coaster, I think that a family thrill launch coaster similar to a Big Bear Mountain style of ride at Dollywood, a Vekoma style attraction, would be amazing. And I think that you add that with the story-driven dart ride, if that is indeed to replace Boo Blasters in the future, I think again that would be another fantastic addition to that park. Boo Blasters, it served its purpose, it's had its day. You know, Kings Island replaced their Boo Blasters with the return of Phantom Theatre in a brand new way and a new, more modern way as well, along with the classic effects. I would like to see King's Dominion do similar to that, but with a more story-driven atmosphere. They could bring an old dark ride idea from the past, or they could reimagine it into something completely new and different, which again, massive plus for me from King's Dominion. Boo Blasters looks a good dart ride. I've not had the chance to experience it yet. It does look a good dart ride for families. Unfortunately though, I think it could be past its potential prime date, and a new dart ride could be needed for the park. Next up, Kings Island, and the visitor survey pictures notions such as a story-driven experience sounding similar to one of those family vehicle rides that has been upgraded with dinosaur animatronics, but they've also suggested additional tale concepts such as travelling to outer space or the bottom of the ocean. So in terms of a story-driven experience, it could be expanding on some of the effects and some of the changes they've made to transform Boo Blasters into Phantom Theatre, and sort of learning from that, taking all the experience of creating a more new, modern, refreshed dart ride experience and bring it into more of an experience somewhere else in the park, and really bring that to life and bring another story-driven attraction to life somewhere in the theme park. Other concepts from the park include an indoor-outdoor coaster concept showing a picture of Matt Ride's Arthur coaster at Europa Park in Rust, Germany, a concept for a stunt show, and a Vekoma multi-launch thrill coaster which shows artwork of the Vekoma Ghost Rider model, the prototype of which is currently being built in Brazil at the brand new Cacau Park. Now, there's been quite a bit of discussion as to whether the Vekoma Ghost Rider model, if that's what they intend to go with, could be sitting on the plot formerly known as Vortex's site. And if the Ghost Rider model is liked by fans and liked by the general public and will go on the site of the former Vortex ride, it could be an interesting replacement for the classic looping roller coaster. I also love, by the way, the idea of introducing something like Arthur at Europa Park. I've been dying to see one of those rides again, and I think Kings Island looking at adding something like that could be brilliant. I think you can look at other rides as well, such as the Movie Park Studios tour at Movie Park Germany, which is the multi-dimensional coaster from Intamin, as a potential indoor-outdoor coaster style model. You could look at the Minecraft coaster that's going in a couple of years at Chessington World Adventures Resort. Of course, that theme's not confirmed to be Minecraft, but from the plans and from the IPs and from the documents, we can see it's probably going to be a Minecraft area. So I think an indoor-outdoor coaster is perfect. I love the idea that Kings Island's looking at doing a stunt show. Look at the theme of the backlot stunt show coaster. And of course, that used to be known as the Italian Job Stunt Track Coaster. You know, for me, I think a stunt show for that particular area, which spins off of the backlot stunt coaster theme, the original theme that came in when Cedar Fair took over Kings Island after Paramount gave it up and sold the rights, along with the rest of the parks that they owned at that time. For me, I think a stunt show bearing a backlot theme, or something similar to that, would be a very nice direction to go in for that particular concept of entertainment. So Kings Island's got some really good concepts in the works, definitely for sure. We now go on to the first Six Flags park with the Six Flags name attached in the title, Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, and they've suggested the Vekoma Suspender Thrill Glider coaster, which is similar to Cedar Point. It's important to note that the concept that was originally planned for Six Flags Magic Mountain has apparently potentially halted during the merger of Cedar Fair and Six Flags, and it's probable that the intended Six Flags Magic Mountain project could be relocated to another theme park. And if you were to give me the choice right now of either Cedar Point or Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, who would need that concept more? I would probably go more on the lines of Discovery Kingdom, because I think Cedar Point's got enough roller coasters for the next few years at least, and I think Discovery Kingdom may need this potentially a bit more. They can develop a really cool theme with it, an original theme, mind you. Don't have to be just IPs or branding, it could be an original theme for this ride. And I do think that an original theme, maybe a jungle style theme for the Thrill Glider concept at Discovery Kingdom would work perfectly. We quickly move on to Six Flags Great Adventure, and of course they're in for an exciting few years anyway. We already know that they've teared apart the beloved King Dakar roller coaster and are going to be replacing it with a brand new launch coaster, but despite all of this, the park has still been surveying brand new attractions, such as a 300 to 400 foot tall new drop tower ride after the departure of Zumanjaro, as well as options for a collection of rides. And that for me is something Great Adventure desperately needs, a collection of flat rides for thrill and family target audiences, and a real collection of that altogether. Think back to Cedar Point back in 2014 when they added 2 flat rides to sort of the midway style area. They made a few other changes and TLCs and improvements, including to the hotel breakers at the time, but of course they included 2 particular new attractions when you had the Zamperla disco style roller coaster with the airtime hump, and then you also had the flying scooters, the Lake Erie Eagles. Of course, Lake Erie Eagles and Pipe Scream were both great additions for Cedar Point around that time, and I think that a collection of rides, 3, 4, 5 rides over a collective number of years, would be a perfect sort of few years of additions to help spread capacity amongst Six Flags Great Adventure audiences. And the final thing they've been surveying is a Planet Snoopy family area, and this could be a massive surprise as Six Flags is clearly polling visitors on its feelings about the Snoopy Peanuts intellectual property to determine whether it would attract more families to the park and sell more stuff than the present Looney Tunes IP does. So we're starting to see questions unraveling about whether Snoopy will take over the Looney Tunes long term at the Six Flags parks. For me personally, I'd actually like to see both of them together. I'd like to see Looney Tunes and Snoopy in perfect harmony, if we're thinking magical fairy tales here. I think that at all the parks, or as many of the parks as possible, I'd like to see Looney Tunes and Snoopy getting along together. Maybe even the idea, or potentially the inspiration, to include a pop-up one-off event when you combine the 2 areas together and you have a bit of a Snoopy Looney Tunes kind of crossover celebration event at the parks at a certain point in time, maybe during one of the holiday periods, sort of through the spring and the summer, or maybe just over the summer in general. I'd like to see a crossover event between the 2 IPs on park in both themed areas, and I'd like to see both of them living together in harmony, whether that's in 2 separate areas and then just divided by a crossover event. So I'd like to see both IPs in the parks if possible, but potentially Six Flags may not be interested in that, and it's certainly one to keep an eye on, especially for the family market. Next up, Six Flags Great America, and they've been surveying and recommending suggestions such as a brand new family thrill launch coaster appropriate for younger guests as well as the entire family. And that's an interesting one, the fact they're not going for more of a thrilling launch coaster. You know, I think that's great. I think a family thrill launch coaster is perfect for Great America, especially with more of a thrilling launch coaster already at the park in the form of Max Force, which has been back up and running. So with Max Force being for the thrill seekers, I'd like to see a family thrill version for more of the younger audiences that maybe don't want to go on Max Force too soon. And this particular ride is set to potentially include themed storytelling, immersive elements and more. So it isn't very much a kids coaster, and it's more of something like a Big Bear Mountain style Dollywood roller coaster, which would be a tremendous hit at any park, let alone Six Flags Great America alone. Now, another proposal for the park would have likely fit in with the park's previous IMAX Pictorium Theatre building, which was demolished to make room for Max Force just a few years back, and it appears Six Flags is asking guests how they feel about adding a flying theatre to the park. And I'd like to see Six Flags explore the potential of more flying theatre style rides at the park, especially with Mack Rides bringing out their style of model with the Airfly, which will be going in a couple of years to Plopsaland as part of a brand new attraction there. And I think that with other manufacturers bringing out flying theatre style models, I like the fact that Six Flags is, you know, teaching guests and educating guests and asking them on the flying theatre concept, you know, here it is, here's what we plan to do, would you be a fan of it? And yeah, it's a shame that that Pictorium building did get demolished for Max Force, however, because it would have been a great location for the ride. However, I think that they can easily build a brand new building or use any other current buildings in the park to make room for a flying theatre style experience. And of course, while the first two proposals are clearly aimed at attracting more families to the park, the final concept is geared towards thrill seekers, as they are proposing a Giga Coaster. And this one very, very, very much excites me. And the reason why is because, I mean, it's a Giga Coaster for crying out loud. Now, we don't know whether it'll be a traditional B&M Giga, like an Orion style ride at Kings Island, or a dive Giga, potentially. Could be an alteration to what they're proposing via the survey. So it may say a Giga Coaster, but they may look into the idea of doing a Giga Dive, depending on the success of Tormentor at Six Flags Over Texas next year. However, that is a very exciting piece of news for the park. Next up, Six Flags Magic Mountain, and they've been presenting an intriguing lineup of concepts to their customers, including a dueling water coaster, more appropriate for Hurricane Harbor, since it is a pair of side-by-side coaster-style water slides. They've also been pitching plans for a new Vekoma launch coaster similar to the Ghost Rider model. However, if it's developed, the layout may alter from the concept art shown. The third idea is to add a collection of rides, which refers to a variety of new flat rides around the park, which is something the park desperately needs, in my opinion. And the final idea is an unusual one for the park, replacing the current Justice League dart ride with a new story-driven dart ride concept that would bring the mystery and magic of Legends to life. In terms of IP, the survey draws concept imagery from the returning Phantom Theatre concept at Kings Island this year, but the written description suggests that something unique may be created. So on talk of the dart ride, the Wizard and Troll original characters from the old Magic Mountain days, could they be explored through a brand new spin-off story for the park? I think it'd be a very interesting thing to do, definitely. And I would be a very big fan of that, along with the collection of rides as well. So, big fan of those, by the way. I love the fact they're looking at something for Hurricane Harbor as well, like a dueling water coaster style of attraction for the water park, as well as this collection of rides, a Phantom Theatre style story-driven dart ride experience to replace Justice League Battle for Metropolis. I think that'd be a very welcome concept for the park. And overall, Magic Mountain seems to be really getting their stuff in order. I also love, by the way, the idea of potentially a Vekoma launch coaster on the thrill scale, similar to a custom Ghost Rider model, but a custom layout. I think that potentially for the site where the Thrill Glider's going, or was supposed to go, with the rumours that the project's now halted and potentially relocated to a different park, I think Magic Mountain's starting to get their stuff in order, which is going to be fantastic to see. Next up, New England, and they've been surveying on a future attraction design, including a new iconic Arrival Experience roller coaster. And they've been displaying images of two particular rides, a Bollinger and Mabillard wing coaster, similar to Gatekeeper at Cedar Point, and a Bollinger and Mabillard dive coaster similar to Iron Menace just a couple of years ago, which opened at Dorney Park. And other suggestions include a new log flume experience, a new kiddie area, and an extension of the water park. So again, Six Flags New England going in for with a variety of investments there. A new log flume could be brilliant. I want to see more new log flumes coming up, because for years it felt like a bit of a dying breed, especially here in the UK with the flume going on Alton Towers. You know, you got Tiger Rock. We don't know what the future of that is at Chessington at the minute, with the Tigers going. You know, you had Loggers Leap replaced for Hyperia at Thorpe Park. We've seen more European ones popping up with Chapas at Fantasyland over the last decade or so. So I'd like to see more of these log flumes popping up. And I like the fact that a few parks are surveying for log flumes. I think a kiddie area is great for Six Flags New England as well. A new rethemed kiddie area, or a brand new kiddie area from scratch, could be fantastic. I think that with the idea of a gateway experience, like an Arrival Experience roller coaster, a signature Arrival Experience coaster could be fantastic for the park as well. Look at the impact of Gatekeeper, look at the impact of Iron Menace at Dorney Park respectively as well. I think that something like that could be a massive addition for Six Flags New England, and I really am on board with all of those investments. Next up, Six Flags Over Georgia, and a guest poll distributed to Over Georgia customers included the proposal to indicate the current Delalenga mine train, the 1967 Arrow mine train, should be replaced by something more modern. Now, apparently the plan was to keep the themed family coaster experience, but replace it with a new hybrid family coaster experience that would send riders through a terrain of twisted wooden trestles, dive through steel-forged canyons, and race along a breathtaking mix of airtime hills, banked curves, and family-friendly drops. Now, for me, I'd like to see what they can do with the Fire in the Hole 2.0 style experience at Silver Dollar City. I'd like to see them go with something like that obviously some outdoor sections to replace the current track sections as well, but I'd like to see them add maybe an indoor section with some new and unique elements to really drive home the story-driven aspect of the reimagined ride experience. So I love the fact that Over Georgia is looking at overhauling their Mine Train coaster from 1967 and bring it into the present day with a new hybrid experience, maybe some new storytelling sections would be fantastic, and a really good way to drive home that this is a brand new reimagined classic experience for families. Alongside this, they are planning a potential new launch coaster with artwork depicting Alpenfury at Canada's Wonderland, a plan to completely retheme all of the park's kiddie areas under one cohesive and exciting new story, and a projected water park expansion. But it's unclear at this stage if they want to enlarge the nearby Whitewater Water Park or the modest inside Hurricane Harbour Water Park. If I'm correct, Over Georgia's Hurricane Harbour has not had many new additions since it first opened, so I'd like to think Hurricane Harbour will get some kind of expansion. It could be Whitewater, it could be Hurricane Harbour, but we will wait and see. I also love the fact they're looking to bring all their kiddie areas into one cohesive, you know, new storyline for a big new kids area. So I like the fact they're planning on that. I think that a brand new story-driven family kids area could be absolutely golden ticket for Six Flags Over Georgia. Overall, some brilliant new concepts. And finally, Six Flags Over Texas. It's already a big year next year with the opening of Tormentor Rampaging Run, but surveys promote a brand new Western-themed dark ride experience with state-of-the-art animatronics, dynamic storytelling, and interactive scenes. But it's worth noting there is no mention of replacing any existing park attractions with this, so we hope that potentially the Pirates of Spelunker Cave and Justice League rides could be safe for now. Another interesting concept has stated the addition of multi-generational rides, which are essentially traditional rides from the past that are fun but not too well for the kids to ride with grandma. The description also promises interactive play spaces which will provide a joyful experience that will bring generations together, and a family water coaster slide which is more appropriate for the Hurricane Harbour Water Park. So again, Six Flags Over Texas with a good range of concepts there, from the water park to a brand new state-of-the-art dart ride with Western theming. I'm pretty sure that'll probably go nearby to where the Spanish area is, and I wouldn't rule it out in my opinion. You know, you can have a Western themed dart ride, but you can tie it into the Spanish theme if need be. And you got some ideas there, so it would be interesting to see what they do with that particular one. But the idea of, you know, bringing in something for probably for Hurricane Harbour in the form of a family water coaster slide would be a really good addition for the water park. And these other additions as well, a play structure or a play place to bring generations together, the reimagining of classic rides in a brand new way with the multi-generational attractions. Again, it's another way of bringing Six Flags Over Texas together. So for me, I think they've got it on the head, they've nailed it on the money with these potential survey concepts. And for me, I think there's some really good attractions deep within those surveys for Six Flags Over Texas. So Six Flags has a massive future in store, and from the surveys, plans and concepts displayed to guests of all of these parks, the future is looking brighter than ever. So thank you all very, very much for watching this video. Make sure you share your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure you do one more thing for me. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit notification bell so you never miss another video. Thank you all very, very much. I am the Coast Shell YouTube channel. Keep living the coast life, and we'll see you in the next video very, very soon. Take care. Have a Six Flags-tastic day.